Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, gentlemen? Running
Let's
Routes
go.
podcast in the house for you.
Week 3.
Week 3.
Free.
We just wrapped up Thursday night football. It was one heck of a show. Divisional war going on. I thought, I'll be honest, I was wrong. I said Cleveland's going to run away with it the way they're running the ball the past two games, but they ran into a much tougher defense with the Steelers. It was a lot closer game than I thought it would be. I think you guys said it would be closer, but how'd you guys like that game?
Yeah, I thought it was an amazing game. Divisional game. I mean, what more could you ask for? Incredible catch, one-handed by Pickens, out there like he's Odell Beckham, 6'4". Incredible game, man. It was a fun game to watch. It was a fun game. Run game was strong. Incredible. What do you think, Char?
It was about what I expected. I expected Cleveland to own the night on the ground. Brissett has looked good. He's looked good enough. We'll see if we got a controversy down the road when Watson's eligible to come, if Cleveland can float the ship.
Fair.
I mean, if it wasn't for that last touchdown, it was a little bit closer, obviously, off the lateral and stuff like that. So the score looked a little different.
Yeah, Vegas was a little upset about that one.
But it was still close. It was a really close game. I mean, that one touchdown just changed the dynamic of the scores and the number, but it was a lot closer than the score indicated.
Yeah, there's a lot of people betting the under on that game, and they lost it on that final play.
The only thing that I really could take away from it that I wanted to ask you guys about was, is it time to go to the rookie? Is it time to bring in Pickett? Or do you guys feel like that's really not going to make that big of a difference over Mitchell Trubisky and possibly meddle in the chemistry that they have so far? Because, I mean, up until that point, they were 1-1, lost a close game against New England. This was close. It's a divisional game on the road, minus TJ Watt. What say you guys on that as far as the quarterbacking situation?
I think it's pretty much it would be the same. I don't know if it's just one of those situations like why rush in the rookie if you're not guaranteed to be better. Like let him rest, let him learn the playbook, let him learn the speed of the game more. I know it's easier said than done because you kind of need to be in the game to do that, but that offense has a lot of issues. Their run game is pretty lackluster. Their offensive line we know is well below average. So let's throw him in there. Then what happens when he gets sacked 2 plays into the game and breaks his leg? Unfortunately, Trey Lance scenario. But
I think for
that's
me,
my take on it.
I think for me, I think the record doesn't indicate, throw out the warning flags yet. I think if they were coming in 0-2, and they play this game and now they're 0-3. I'd say maybe think about next week trying to stay in this to get to the playoffs if you believe you're a playoff team. It really does depend on the coaching staff and the higher-ups and where they see their team at and where they see their team going in order for them to just throw them out there. I think for me, 1-1, I think I'm okay with Trubisky, and I think Trubisky's doing a good enough job. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, we've seen what he did last year. The Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, they were just good enough to lose. So, I mean, you can't say that the team made an incredible jump, to this year. So, I mean, I feel like he's doing an incredible job as is. And just to touch on what Brady said, if you think that he's that much better and gives you that much better of a chance to win, then I would go that route. But like I said, the record's 1-1. I don't think there's enough alarm yet to try and force the rook.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think he's going to get his days under center, and it probably won't be too distant in the future. But I trust Mike Tomlin. And again, we just got done with the preseason, like you said. We're three weeks in. If he was better than Trubisky, they would have found out in the preseason. This is a no-brainer. We're going to let the rookie run. And to Brady's point, you don't want him developing bad habits either. I mean, let alone getting injured. That offensive line is not good. It's not good because the weapons and the talent is there all across the board besides that offensive line. So, yeah, I think you give it a little bit of space. You can learn from watching. and there's no reason. I mean, the Steelers didn't come into this season thinking Super Bowl or bust, So
Right.
Yeah.
I think you give them a little bit more time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting moving forward. They're a team that keep on the radar because that defense can hold their own against pretty much anybody. So.
No lie.
Absolutely.
But
I
we'll
agree.
keep this game going. We'll start looking at these Sunday football games.
Let's go.
First game of the week. First game of
it.
Sunday. Sorry, not the week. We got the Texans going into the Bears. The Bears are 2.5-point favorite. And I got to be honest, I'm not really sure why, because that offense is pretty lackluster over there in Chicago. I mean, they're only putting up like 230 a game, and Fields is only throwing 95 a game. It's pretty not. I don't know. It's nothing. It's nothing that wows you. That goes, yeah, that team's going to score points this weekend. It's like, are they going to score points this weekend? That's just my opinion on it.
Right.
I mean, I know Charlie likes Fields, and I think he's talented. I don't think the team's built around him to succeed enough. And I'm going to go Texans here. I like their pass game. I just like what they can do. They're more. I mean, they put up points every week. They hold their own against tough teams. I mean, they kind of had a little bit rough going with the Broncos there, but they put it up. They put up points against the healthy Colts before they became unhealthy against the Jaguars. They were doing good. So I like the Texans in this one.
Yeah, man. Brady, I got to agree with you. I want to go in a different direction. I really do like Justin Fields. Quietly, I'm a big Justin Fields fan. Charlie knows why and stuff. I'm real high on the dude. But you check the numbers between 2 games this week and last week and the week before. He's got 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And then you take a look at David Mills, 417 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 75 attempts, 42 completions. Business as usual for David Mills. I think he's going to have a really good year. I tried to call at the beginning of the season. This was my year 2 quarterback that is going to do good, and as delivered, as advertised, week 2, all the way up. He's been decent. I think that he's going to continue to be decent in this game. I mean, you take a look at the Bears giving up 199 yards passing. David Mills is passing for 285 yards a game, 200 yards a game. I just see that being, what's going to happen. The ball's going to get thrown. I don't know that offensive line for the Bears is going to be enough to hold back that Texans defense, which is giving up a lot of rushing yards, 163 rushing yards. But they're only rushing 139 yards a game. Justin Fields passing for only 95 yards a game. I just see this being another one of those games that's going to come down to the wire, and I think the Texans are going to take this one out. I'm going David Mills on this one.
Texans are a tough group to figure out. I like them week in, week out. They're a scrappy team that's going to be in every game because they really don't hurt themselves. I mean, as you mentioned with Davis Mills, but they haven't really wowed anybody yet either. I mean, last week against Denver, they could have easily taken that game, and they were held to a lot of field goals. And yeah, Denver defense is pretty good, but there's the big play element really hasn't surfaced for Davis Mills and the Texans yet. On the flip side, Chicago still looks like they got training wheels on Fields for some reason right now. I think maybe this week 2 game that they went into in Green Bay, coming off a win, which they probably surprised them, maybe the game plan was be more steady. Maybe we can control a little bit of the clock. And for all intents and purposes, they were in the game. If they would have scored down there late in the 4th quarter, it would have been a 10-point game, and there was still 6 to 8 minutes left on the clock. Their defense held the Packers from scoring, in the second half. So the Bears are game 2. This is a really tough call. I'm going to go Texans. I still think Fields, as the season goes on, there's going to be a lot more development. There's going to be more development in the offense. Crazy amounts of new pieces on the offense and the defense, but especially at wide receiver. He's only got chemistry with one guy, and that's Mooney. Started to develop some with Komet, but that was just the last few games of the season. Jimmy Graham was starting last year. I think, The recipe for the Bears is feed Montgomery, and you got to give Fields the opportunities to make plays. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you got to go for it, especially against teams like this. But I'm gonna go with Davis Mills. I think he's in a friendlier situation, whole team wise, and I think the Texans get it done on the road.
I mean, the past 2 games that Justin Fields has played, right? The San Francisco 49ers game, 11 rushes, right, for 28 yards. Okay? And then he's got 17 attempts, right, on 8 completions passing the ball. And then Green Bay, it's 11 attempts. It's 7 completions.
You can't really get into a rhythm throwing the ball 11 times in the game. Like I said, the game script, I don't know.
That's crazy to me.
You got to move the chains and you got to get first downs. And that Green Bay defense is good.
That's crazy to me. Like, he's almost rushing. He's almost rushing in every game. He's almost rushing more times than he's throwing. I mean, I don't think at all.
Potential's there.
I'm just saying that I don't think that that's the keys to success for any team, for any player to do at quarterback. I just don't see that that's what, and I mean, if you got a new regime and a new coaching staff and they still think that that's where they need to go, I don't know if that's helping the offense or they're trying to help the offensive line because they think the offensive line's bad. I don't know. Those numbers are just wild to me. I just wanted to bring that up.
I liked when Charlie was saying, they got the training wheels on Justin Fields, because that's right. They're not, even his run plays, they're all scramble runs, or most of them are scramble runs. So he's only averaging 2.5 yards a carry. That's less than Daniel Jones. And they're doing the same thing. They're like, oh, what are we figuring out on offense? And Daniel Jones is, running away for his life. He's averaging 2.9, and Fields is running away for his life, averaging 2.5. So it's Fields is a much better runner than Daniel Jones. He should be averaging more. And then again, with the training wheels thing, he's thrown 28 times over 2 games, right? Joe Flacco has thrown that in a half of football. This is Joe Flacco, right? In the Jets.
Backup quarterback for the Jets.
He has just as bad of an offensive line. So
but he's got a lot better weapons, though.
He does have a lot better weapons. I agree, but again, we
talked about the lack of receivers there, in the preseason. You got to have opportunities. I mean, do I want to see Justin Fields throw the ball 50 times at this point in his career? Heck no. I don't want to see any quarterback do that, really. That's a tough recipe.
No, but I'd like to see 28 in one game, not 28.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. I agree.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
But so we're Houston across the board. What was Nick?
We got we're all taking Houston. Big shouts out to Nick. He couldn't be here tonight, and we got Nick taking the. We got Nick taking the Texans as well.
Sweet.
We're all going the upset on that one accordingly.
Big shout outs to Nick.
Next game rolling. This one's an interesting one because this is 2 0-2 teams that I don't think anybody thought was going to be 0-2 teams. I mean, I know we said the Titans were not going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC again, but I don't know if I'd ever see them starting off this season 0-2 with Derrick Henry at the helm.
It looked rough.
But they are, and then you got the Raiders, who, again, I don't think anybody saw them going 0-2 starting out when you got this whole new offensive weapons. You got the offensive head coach, McDaniels, and you had everything there. But this Titans team is banged up. Their best offensive lineman, Taylor Lewan. Taylor Lewan. He's out. The guy they replaced him with, or even if it's the guy on the other side, I don't know, the Jacoma Jones, he's out as well. So they're going to be banged up on offensive line. Not to mention that they have 2 linebackers on the other side of the ball that are going to be out and a safety. So this should be a Raiders win this week. They should get their first one. But in order for the Raiders to win, they need to get some pressure. They have 1 sack on the season so far. They're 3 teams have 1 sack on the season. They're one of them. So they need to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm taking the Raiders here as well. We got Nick also taking the Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders as well because, I'd like to see the Raiders this week. Devontae Adams continue on his business as usual. 2 weeks now. He's got 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 receptions. I'd like to see him get a little bit more involved. And I'd also like to see Derek Carr not to throw an interception in this game. He's got 3 on the year already. 547 yards, 4 touchdowns, 76 attempts. This goes back to David Mills. 72 attempts, no interceptions. He doesn't have 4 touchdowns. He only has 2, but I think the guy's doing good. I know we're off that game. We're on this game here. I just had to real quick. Derek Carr's a stud. I'm making a case here, okay? But Tannehill's looking ugly. 2 interceptions, 2 games, 2 touchdowns. Tannehill's struggling. They put the kid in Malik last game. I mean, I think the coaching staff on the Texans is freaking out right now. I think they shouldn't have traded their receiver. I think they're freaking out right now.
Well, the game fell apart, so they're like, all right, let's not injure any more offensive linemen or any more starters, and let's see the backups go in, because even the Bills had their backups in, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna want to
that point of the game.
If you're the Texans, you want to come out running Henry and get Henry going early. Hopefully you can get Henry going early so that it doesn't have to be in Tannehill's hands. But I just see the Raiders and that defensive line being a problem for the the Titans offensive line. I just see it going that route. I think David Carr is going to handle this. He's going to weather the storm, and they'll win probably by 10 points. I'm going Raiders. Nick's going Raiders too. What do you think? What do you got, Char?
It's a clean sweep as far as the Raiders go. I want to find out more information about this. I just heard about it a couple hours ago, but Jacobs is not going to be in this game, and I don't think it's because of injuries. So something's going on there. I want to get a little bit more information on.
I saw Renfro was out. That's news to me.
Yeah, it was concussion for Renfro. Yeah, no, it caught me by surprise. But I got Zamir White in fantasy, and he shot up to 11 points, and he hasn't touched the field yet. So, fantasy alert. Anyways, yeah, the Raiders have gotten off to a bumpy start. They definitely should have won last week. No points in the second half. You got to be able to close out games like that. And then the week before, they were knocking on the doorstep, going head-to-head with the Chargers. Divisional opponent, so you can take the loss on that one. This has definitely got to be a get right game for them, though. The Tennessee Titans are reeling, like Brady said. There's injuries on both sides of the ball. I do like Henry to bounce back against this Raiders defense. I think that they can keep it close. I'm looking at like a 27-24 deal. Maybe they start to put some things together later in the game, but the Raiders have gotten off to good starts in both their games. They just finished poorly. So I look for them to wrap it up and get the W at the end of the day, but I do think this will be a little close one. I don't think the Titans, even banged up, are going to roll over. I do got a lot of respect now for Vrabel. So they're going to do the best they can, but we talked about in the preseason, and I was super low on them in particular. And, yeah.
And you're proving you right.
Well, you can see how big a deal A.J. Brown is in Philly. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, you're right, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, when you could take the top off like he can and just, nullify some things, some problems, some offensive line issues, some problems that the team's having, you know what I mean? It's, yeah, for sure.
He's a minimum voice. He's a safety blanket too. He's a huge target. Like he's a shorter DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. The one fear I do have though is the Titans defense does kind of match up well with the fact that Renfro's out, and then you said Jacobs is out as well. That pretty much, because they still have Kevin Byard over there for corner. That's a good corner over there to cover Devontae Adams.
Safety, yeah.
But they were getting torched last week by Buffalo. Now, granted, but, when we ranked our wide receivers, Adams is right there underneath Diggs. So, I mean, if Diggs can, do what he did to that secondary, I know Devontae can to a degree. Yes. And Buffalo didn't have much going on besides Diggs, and it just didn't matter.
Yeah. But I just wanted to add, because with that being said on that defense, you can slow down Devontae Adams with the backfield they do have, despite missing one safety. But you have a defensive line on the Titans that has 6 sacks on the year, right? And this Raiders offense isn't anything to be proud of.
The line is tough. Right?
Yeah, they got 5 against Daniel Jones and the Giants. They got 1 against Allen, so they know they can do it against a weak O line. No offense to the Giants.
No, that's well said, Brady. They're bringing up the trenches, and we know that the Raiders already have been struggling on that side of the ball. I also wanted to bring up that the phenom that they drafted. The second receiver they drafted, Phillips, potentially might not play in that game as well, so you're only going to have Treylon Burks, and a couple other guys. So that's another issue too moving forward with that offense. And if you have to try and throw the ball, it's really hard it seems as though it's very hard for Tennessee to try and accomplish that, and Carr could stretch the field so easily that, they could put 7 up and make the Tennessee Titans play from behind. And I think as long as the Raiders can do that, then at the end of the day, that's going to be the weakness right there. That offensive line is definitely a problem for sure for the Raiders.
All right, let's move on, though. We got the next game. What started out at the beginning of the season, you probably would have said this would have been potential game of the week, and it's now looking like pretty much an easy rollover. And you got the Kansas City Chiefs going into the Indianapolis Colts. They're a 5.5-point favorite, and just everything's clicking for them. And it seems like nothing's clicking right for the Colts. Shaquille Leonard now is 2 weeks full practice, and he's still not playing. I don't know if it's mental toughness now that's not letting him play. I know he's got his back issues, and you don't want to rush, serious things like that. But he had full participation all week long this week and most of last week. I think only had one limited practice last week, and he's still not in. They do get their corners back that they were missing with Kenny Moore. It's a good corner over there to help them out. But that Chiefs, you're not going to slow down that Chiefs offense with one corner. They got multiple weapons on that offense. So I like the Chiefs here. I don't really see much going on with the Colts to put up too much of a danger to this Chiefs team.
Yeah, we also have Nikki taking the Kansas City Chiefs. Hell of a pick there, Nikki. Dude, you just come and you look at the numbers, man. Matt Ryan, who cares what team he's on, right? He just so happens to be on Indy. 80 throws, 48 completions, 547 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Not like Matt at all. Matt's out there trying to do too much right now. That's what it looks like to me. I think Matt needs to calm down, understand, and have faith in his arm that he can get it done. We don't need to force that much. You take a look at Mahomes, 74 attempts, 54 completions, 595 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, business as usual. That defense is playing good for Kansas City. That offense is playing good for Kansas City. The old grandpa out there, Travis Kelce, 13 touches, 13 receptions, 172 yards and a touch. Definitely the second coach on the field, I'd argue, on the offense. Hell of a guy, that guy. I just think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be too much. Matt Ryan's going to try and do too much. He'll start adding some more INTs to that count. And they've been rushing the ball. They've been rushing the ball pretty good. 110 yards a game out of KC. You wouldn't think over 100 yards a game. But good for them. That Pachenko from Rutgers had a good game a week ago, 2 weeks ago. KC it is, bro. What do you think, Char? What do you got for me?
KC's look really good. They've looked really good. They've taken down the Cardinals and the Chargers. I think this is going to be a little bit different of a test for them, though, and their defense has looked great. You're absolutely right. And I was high on their defense all the way along. Jonathan Taylor is the difference maker for me, and there's not a whole lot of stats and numbers because it's a definite lopsided at this. 2 weeks into it, it's definitely lopsided towards Kansas City. But home cooking, Jonathan Taylor, you get Pittman back. He missed last week, and you could definitely tell that off of the first week when he went for, I think it was like 10 catches, $130 and a touchdown, and Matt Ryan just really couldn't find a good safety valve there for him against Jacksonville. I think
Pierce or whatever, the other guy, he was out too last week, so he had nobody.
Yeah, he's been out all season, so they're still trying to get him back from a concussion. That must have been one hell of a hit. But yeah, I'm gonna go Colts. Here. Home cooking. I think it's a 1 or 2 point game. I think it's an absolute dogfight. I think the Colts are way better than what they've shown so far. And again, I don't have statistics to stand on at this point in time. It's more of a gut type of situation right here. If they do lose, I don't think it's going to be by very much. I looked back at the beginning of the week, and on Sunday, the NFL puts out lines almost immediately after the games, and it was a 2.5 point game. It shot up to 6.5 come Monday, Tuesday, obviously, because you just witnessed the Colts get blanked by the Jaguars. And again, the Chiefs are looking good. But that initial line gives a lot to what I feel like this game is really going to be about. And if the Chiefs defense hasn't faced a good rushing attack yet, if they can go in there and handle a rushing attack as well, then yeah, they could have an easy 31-10 win. But I'm thinking this is going to be like a 26-28 squeaker for the Colts. I think they're gonna get out of here, and it's not gonna. At the end of the day, I feel like it's not going to look like that much of an upset. I think we're going to be able to see that these teams are a little bit closer than what we think coming into this week.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, because if you didn't say anything about like the Colts winning, I would have said that this. I could have made the argument that this is a trap game for the Chiefs, that they're overlooking the Colts, and that this Colts team, this just happens to be the week that everything clicks, similar to when they faced the Bills last year, where they just, Jonathan Taylor runs off, goes crazy. They make smart pass throws. They're not forcing things. I easily can see that too. And pointing out the fact that line started off so low, I can definitely feel the eyesight's there for it to be a good game.
I don't think it's so much the Chiefs will be overlooking them, because this is a Super Bowl team we're talking about with Super Bowl pedigree, coach, quarterback, all the mainstayers are still there. So I don't think the players will, but I think the media, hometown fans, I think everybody around is going up. This is a dub. You guys are going to keep on rolling. And sometimes it's hard to just, hey, no, we don't have this. You know what I mean? When somebody's telling you all these good things and you don't believe it, but it's just like, it breaks your focus a little bit too. And the other team hears it as well. And they got boys over there that do have a lot of pride, and they still have high aspirations over there in Indianapolis. So I think this quite possibly could end up being the game of the week, but it doesn't look like it coming into the week. I agree.
All right. I like it. I'm definitely, that's one I'm more interested in than I think most people are. It's going to be a good game. But moving on, we got a battle of 2-0 teams. You got the Buffalo Bills going into the Dolphins. Dolphins had that hot fourth quarter over there against Baltimore, and Buffalo's a 5-point favorite here in Miami. It's an interesting one, but I do think that this Bills defense will be a real test on how good this Miami offense actually is, because I mentioned it last show how that Baltimore defense 2 weeks in a row now have fallen apart in that fourth quarter. So the fact that Miami could do it, it wasn't that shocking to me, because they did it once against the Jets already. The issue is the Bills' defensive line. They have 2 D tackles that are out this game, so the pass rush is going to be pretty slow, and they have the chance to get a good run game going against them. But I'm still going to take the Bills here.
Jordan Phillips at Oliver. Just to name the 2 D tackles that Brady speaks of.
And Tim Settle. So all the beef up front missing.
Interesting. Well, Brady's going Buffalo anyway. We got little Nicky's going upset Miami Dolphins here. I think Nicky's,
I would have liked to have heard his argument on Dolphins.
I think Nicky's seen what happened to the Baltimore
Ravens. Frozen
now.
Oh yeah, you good?
I'm done being frozen.
No, you're good. You're good, Brad.
All right. But yeah, so I had the Bills here because I think they're a real test versus. Do I need to start it over?
No. You're good.
Yeah, no,
you got my whole argument for it.
No, you're good. You said we heard you say the Bills, so I just started going with
Okay.
Yeah, I just started riding because you said the Bills, and then I said Nicky's going with the upset here. I'm going Bills too. I'm not betting against Josh Allen. There's a lot of shiny cars over there with that. But I feel like if this gets into a slugfest, my money's on Allen. You know what I mean? I just slugfest though. I mean, think about it. Slugfest. I'm not trusting. I'm not yet. I'm not trusting Tua having to go down forcefully having to go down the field. Is different than the style they're playing now. I realize they played from behind against Baltimore, right? They did. They played from behind. But that team just looked different after the Tyreek Hill score. Things just I don't know. I'm not buying the whole thing yet, especially how good Buffalo's defense has been, and that Bills defense has depth, and I think they're gonna plug in some studs on that D line anyway. You know, we got a guy from the Miami Hurricanes, wide receiver turned DN, still gonna be down there in the trench there. You know, maybe some stunts in the middle. I don't know. We'll see how that game unfolds. Nikki went Miami. I'm going Buffalo with Brady because I just like Josh Allen. And I don't know. I didn't see anybody on that team walk around like Stephon Diggs walked around in that game against the Tennessee Titans. And I don't want to bet against that. I want that guy on my team the way he was acting. It looked like he was out there playing against a bunch of freshmen in high school. I don't know. He was just out there like just had a whole different demeanor. Like, he just looked different to me. Like, he was just like, no one on this field is going to cover me. I expect the same intensity against the Miami Dolphins. I don't see anything business as usual. And then Josh Allen's going to feed off that, and so is the defense. And I think when you have that combination going on there, for me, it's a dead ringer. That's what it is for me. I understand injuries, and we talk about injuries a lot, but, you know, you can't just be calling games and winners and losers because of the injuries, man. There's a 90-man roster, and no one wants to make up that excuse. We lost today because we just didn't put our best foot forward. I think Buffalo's going to put their best foot forward at home for the Dolphins. It's going to be a hell of a game, and it might just turn into a shootout. And if it does, I like Josh Allen and the Bills. Charlie, what do you got?
You mean you don't bring the Ferrari to Demolition Derby?
No.
This one's going to be a sneaky good game. Obviously, off of last week's performance, Miami is garnering the attention. It's that new girl at school, and everybody's like, dang, she took her glasses off, she let the hair down. She nice.
Hey.
Miami is a sneaky good home field advantage in the NFL too, especially this time of year because it's hot as fuck in Florida. That said, I gotta go with Josh Allen and the Bills too. I gotta go with them, although it's gonna be tough because the Bills are missing two cornerbacks. We already knew they were missing Tre'Davious White. The other corner got hurt, and they're gonna be missing I believe it was Micah Hyde got hurt last game. So they're gonna be down a safety too. That's a lot, not to mention the interior that you guys already brought up. That's a lot. They're going to be starting two rookies at the corners. It's Elam from Florida that they drafted in the second round, I think, maybe first. And then they got like a sixth-rounder, Bedford, who's been the starter so far this year with Tre'Davious being out. Those guys are going to get wicked tested. The Bills have had the 1A best defense with Tampa Bay. You look at points per game, they're giving up 9 per game. Same thing with Tampa. So points per game, they've demonstrated that they're the best. This is going to be a different challenge, though, because like Eddie's brought up the first 2 weeks of the season, that speed is elite. And if they just get their hands on the ball, things happen. But both you guys are absolutely right, and it's Josh Allen has earned the trust now officially.
Yeah.
Tua's yet to get there. Tua showed us some things.
Yeah.
Showed us that he's capable of orchestrating this offense, which is nice. I need to see the Miami run game, though. They got two nice pieces that they signed in the offseason, too. That was Mostert and Edmonds, and neither one of those guys have gotten going. They're going to need that balance in order to take down Buffalo because it's not going to be the quick strikes that just eliminate another team's will, because Buffalo is very capable of coming back and doing the same thing to you the whole game. We saw it last year in KC. So I think this one's a 31-24 Buffalo victory. I think it is point heavy. I think it's a shootout. And it's going to be a fun one.
Incredible.
But Miami's going to show that they're game. That defense is nice.
I think so.
Yeah. Location's going to be a big one here. It's definitely going to make a big factor. And I think it's going to be a big factor slowing the Bills down. But again, like if you look past that fourth quarter of the Ravens game, the Miami is just an above average team right now. If you look past that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the line falls to the Bills. And 5 points a little heavy, but I can see it.
I
agree.
didn't pick him because I lacked the confidence. I lack the confidence in Tua controlling an entire drive over and over again, having to score on the drive every drive. I just like how you just said, how like Herbert and the Chargers got into it in that fourth quarter, to lose. It's like that orchestration, like we seen Buffalo and then Tariq take it at the end and KC.
It's still a new offense for Tua, so you're right. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't been in this system for a couple of years. Josh Allen has got this thing down. He's calling his own plays. Like, this is his baby.
I think if this was
Tua can't get there, but
I think this would have I think I would have a different outlook on this game if this was week 16, 17. And we've seen so much more from Tua, then I would feel more comfortable picking the Dolphins in the upset, even though with all of Buffalo's injuries, I got to go Buffalo.
All right, moving on.
Fun fact, though, I think the Dolphins are 13-0 dating back to last season. They're on like a 13-game winning streak. It was 11 or 13. So
yeah, because they won 8 in a row last year, right? Tua won 8 in a row. Was it 8 in a row? Yeah. Incredible. No, I mean, yeah.
All right. Next game, though, we got the Detroit Lions going into the Minnesota Vikings. This is another one that kind of the scoring line kind of confuses me here because they got the Vikings as a big old 6-point favorite here, and they're banged up. You saw the recipe to beat them, and the Lions team plays pretty similar to that Philly team that put a whooping on the Vikings. Now, the question is, do the Vikings make a differential change here in how they play, their play call and everything adjust? And I think they do. I think Vikings take this one because they just because of that loss they had against Philly. If maybe they won against Philly, I might have taken the Lions here just because they may have overthought the Lions. But the Lions team is good. It's going to be a dogfight, but I think the Vikings will edge this one out just because I think the coaching changes and not the play calling changes will happen back to what worked against the Rams. Or what worked against the Green Bay. Yeah, opening up Dalvin Cook. But it's not going to be easy, right? They're losing a corner and a safety, and a good safety at that with Harrison Smith being out. That's hit dudes all over the ball every play. So that'll be a hard one for them to overcome.
The rookie
but I'm going Vikings here.
Rookie Andrew Booth is out as well. Eric Kendricks is questionable.
Yeah, corner.
Ouch.
Yeah, we got Nicky taking the Lions in an upset here, Minnesota. He's taking the Detroit Lions. And you know what? I'm taking the Detroit Lions as well. I'm going to go ahead and take Detroit as well here. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 471 on Goff on the year. Kirk Cousins is just trying to do too much, especially if he gets down quick. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 498 yards, 78 attempts.
Not a primetime game, though. It's not a
78 attempts. So he'll win this game, right? So they're going to win this? I don't know. They very well could. Cooks doesn't have a touchdown on the year. 100 yards rushing in 2 games. That's not.
Yeah, they need to open that playbook for him, like Charlie said.
Yeah, he got all of that week 1. He barely touched the ball on the ground against Philly. It was perplexing. The play calling was very scratch your head.
Aiden Hutchinson
could have been in that the whole time.
Aiden Hutchinson is questionable. TJ Hawkinson's questionable. DeAndre Swift is questionable. Those are things.
DeAndre Swift's questionable every single week.
That's crazy. But yeah, Nicky's going Lions. I'm going Lions. Going Lions, Char. What do you think?
I think this is going to be one of those 3-point, he made it, he missed it type of affairs. The Lions have been game. This is going to be a divisional game. Both times last year, I think they split the series, and both times it was decided by 1 score. I think this one's going to be decided by 1 score as well. I agree with you, Brady. I think the 6 points is a bit generous to be handing a Lions team that has been game with the Philadelphia Eagles, which has performed the best in the NFC so far, hands down. And then they came back and really handled the Commanders. They were in command of that game the whole time. And they're putting up points, and Goff looks good, and that offensive line looks good. I do agree with you, though. I think the Vikings do regroup. I think they get some more balance. I think this is a score fest for both teams because the thing that the Vikings are good at through the air and what they want to do is the thing that Detroit is not very good at stopping right now. Their secondary is leaky. And Aiden Hutchinson being chipped up, he's coming off a 3-sack game last week. Phenomenal game from him. That would be a big loss to a very thin Detroit Lion defense as far as like stud playmakers, standouts, and stuff like that. Somebody who can, cause a fumble, strip sack, something, make a play to fire up the team. I love Detroit, and I think this is just going to be one of those back at you, just like, okay, corral, just draw your pistols and you're just shooting it out behind barrels. Like, it's just going to be back and forth. This one should be a sneaky, really fun game. For fantasy purposes, I think it's going to be dynamite, whoever you play in this game. But I'm a roll Vikings at the end of the day. I'm going to go Vikings.
Yeah, because I wanted to add, because you remember how much A.J. Brown torched that Lions defense. And now you're going to give Justin Jefferson that opportunity, who wants to redeem himself after the performance he had on Monday Night Football.
The Vikings as a whole want to redeem themselves because I don't think there was a player on that field that could hold their head up high after that game. And again, if they wouldn't have played so bad, it wouldn't have been that bad. They had opportunities. They just squandered them. And it was ugly to watch.
Questionable coaching. Cook ran it 6 times for 17 yards. Cousins was your leading rusher 2 times with 20 yards.
He's coming off a 100-yard game. I mean, why? Why?
Yeah. But we'll see. Hopefully they make their right adjustments here because that Vikings should be a team that should be taking that division, but we'll see where it leads them.
One of those games where the house is split.
Next game. Baltimore Ravens. They want to getting bad taste out of their mouth. They want to get that Miami taste out of their mouth, and they're going into the New England Patriots. This will be pretty much of a defensive showdown, I think.
For sure.
And Baltimore's a 2.5-point favorite here, and you just need that Ravens team to not implode in the fourth quarter, and they should win this. I mean, you saw it, versus Miami. That's where they say the defense is, because you look at the Miami games. Pats held Miami to 20 points, where they ended up, score, and then Baltimore let them score 28 points in one quarter. So it's an opportunity there if you let that happen again, that Mac Jones making smart plays, not turning the ball over that fourth quarter and creep up on you again. But I think the Ravens take this one just by being a more athletic team.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to go against the Patriots and that coaching staff because they're going to put all 53 men in the right spot to be successful. And the injury report's really tough for me. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at here whenever I look at the New England Patriots injured report. I got Raekwon McMillan. Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing's conspiracy at best. Raekwon McMillan questionable, Phillips questionable, Duggar questionable, Mills questionable, Jacoby Myers questionable, friggin' Belichick's questionable.
Questionable.
Everything's questionable over here. We're questioning everything. I don't know. It's the New England Patriots. They're gonna come. They're gonna play. They're gonna show up. They're gonna bang. They're gonna bump. They're gonna play, bro. I just don't know if they're gonna be able to stop Lamar. That's what this is gonna come down to. Lamar on the year, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception passing. He's got 1 rushing touchdown, 136 yards rushing. Okay, that's more than what their leading rusher on the New England Patriots has. You're just like, Jesus, man, they're the leading rusher. He's the leading. Lamar's the leading rusher. He's the leading passer. Patriots, stop him. Me and Nikki, we're going Dirty Birds. Or that was Atlanta. Sorry, we're taking the Baltimore Ravens. Me and Nikki.
Man, can you imagine if the Dolphins don't come back? Because I was watching the Ravens game last week, and Lamar looks phenomenal through 2 weeks, dude. That wasn't his fault. He did
No.
nothing.
No.
You'd be saying MVP Lamar, not MVP Tua right now.
You absolutely would. You absolutely would. We would be looking at this game as a possible trap game for the Ravens. I think the Ravens are, and you're right. Both of you guys are right. It's more explosive offense, hands down. Lamar's playing great ball right now.
So's Bateman.
Belichick just doesn't have the talent right now. It's just flat out, you don't have the talent to put up points.
They're going to
offense
come
has
and
been
play.
ridiculously bad, just ridiculously bad. And I don't see it, although they're going up against the Baltimore Ravens, whose defense has been suspect, this is going to give them a little bit more opportunity. You're going against a non-mobile, Mac Jones. The Patriots are definitely going to have to get that running game going to free up some play action passes. I just don't think the Patriots can score over 17 points. And I know that the Ravens can put up points. Even if there's a turnover or two sprinkled in there, they're making it work. They're putting up points. I think they're averaging close to 30 on the year between the two games. So to me, I don't see them solving Lamar Jackson. And I think it's a 27-10, 27-17 Ravens win comfortable.
Ravens across the board. It's a hard. They need this win. It's one of them teams this week that need to overcome what they did and how they're playing.
Yeah,
they're more talented again. And I like Devontae Parker over there. I like that addition for New England, but he's nowhere near the talent and speed of Hill and Waddle in Miami. So.
It's hard. They're going to have to win the game a different way. It's going to have to be bully ball. It's going to have to be phone booth, running game, keep Lamar off rhythm. Don't let him get the ball, any extra times than they can. So, the Patriots always have the recipe. You can never count them out because Belichick's a genius and, he's going to get his players to play smart. And when you play smart, the difference for the talent gap can be shrunk dramatically in situations like that when you shorten the game if you're just executing correctly a lot of the times. But it's a tough ask for the Patriots. It's tough. Did I freeze up on that one?
I don't know. I don't know if it was you or me.
No.
But
Damn it.
Keeping it rolling. Next game. Got the Bengals, another team. They need a win, and they're going into the New York Jets. And the Bengals are a 6.5-point favorite, which is that's another one of those games. I'm like, that's a lot for a team that's been giving up points. They're not scoring very many points, and they're going against a team that is putting up numbers and putting up points and scoring. And honestly, if the Bengals didn't need this win, I would be taking the Jets right now. But the fact that the Bengals need this win to not be a bottom of the barrel team, I'm taking the Bengals. That's pretty much my only argument for it because Joe Flacco is playing phenomenal for a man that everyone wrote out of the league.
It's crazy.
He's 63, 103 yards. He's over 600 yards, 5 TDs, and only 1 touchdown on the year. And he's on a battle line. I know he's got great weapons, but he's got a battle line, and people wrote him out.
5 touchdowns, 1 interception is what Brady said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just his face that froze up.
Right. We got Nikki taking the Jets here. Nikki's going upset. But the same reason why I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals is the same reason why Brady did. It's a must-win right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. You have to win this game. It's tough when you look, Pratt's out, linebacker. Hayden Hurst is questionable. LaCollins is questionable. The offensive tackle that they picked up from Dallas that's been in question and hasn't been playing good on the year so far. And then you look at the Jets and their injury report is the New England Patriots. I don't know. Davis is questionable. Uzama's questionable. Franklin Myers questionable. Quentin Williams questionable. Whitehead safety's questionable. I'm sure there's more questionables up there. I just can't see it. I got the little bits here, and yeah, Flacco's playing out of his mind, and you hope that Burrow's offensive line's gonna block for this guy this game. I think I think we can't just continuously try to go to Jamar Chase. We got to try and figure something else out. Coaching staff's got to come up with something different this week. we got to try something here, Cincinnati. I wanted to pick against them like I do the Giants, so the Giants, so they win like the Giants, but I can't do it. So I'm going Cincinnati. What do you think, Char?
Listen, I got the rest of that list that you were reeling off for the Jets, and the Jets defense is questionable to show up. They haven't shown up for the first 2 weeks. So, it's hard to tell if they're going to show up to this one. And that's why I got to go Bengals. They're giving up nearly 30 points a game. I like what the Jets are doing on offense. They're going to be game. We've talked about it. They got weapons. And Flacco's playing phenomenal. I still think the Bengals offensive line will be an issue. I look for Jermaine Johnson, the rookie, maybe to make a couple of plays in this one for the Jets. But give the ball to Mixon, run the ball just like Cleveland did last week against the Jets. Chubb was doing anything he wanted to. There's no reason why you can't have nice balance. That's going to open it up for Chase. And none of those corners, Sauce Gardner's not ready for Chase. I'm sorry, he's not. And you should score points. I like this one, 31-17. I can't see the Jets hanging close, especially being 0-2. This is a big game for the Bengals, like Brady mentioned, and this is a get right game for them. This has to be, like he said as well. This has to be a get right game because you go 0-3. You're just stacking up stuff that's tough to get over, especially when you're losing the teams that you should be beating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They should have beat Dallas last week. They should have beat Pittsburgh week 1. Then they should beat the Jets. You throw another L on the books, and it's legit button pushing. We did the show earlier in the week, and we were all concerned about the Bengals. We need to see the Bengals look better here.
Yeah, and like Eddie touched on, you got to stop forcing it to Chase, and then you touched with the Mixon, and you did mention the Jets. Like the Jets over the 2 games, I know they faced 2 really great run teams with Baltimore and Cleveland, but they're still giving up 123 yards rushing a game. Just run the ball with Mixon. That's the recipe, and Chase will open up because of that, like you were saying, Charlie. But they need to factor in something else. They got to stop forcing Burrow to be a quarterback and let the offense work as things open up.
Yeah, if you can't have the protection, he can't throw the ball 35 times a game. I'm sorry. I want to see Burrow. We all know he's more than capable of executing. But you got to have time, and you can't let that guy get hit like that. You've got to figure out a way to soften it up. And like I said, the Jets defense, they're going to be bad all year. It's going to be a tough run for them. But offensively, it's giving them opportunities to put up big numbers on the offense. So fantasy guys on the Jets, in my personal opinion, I think this is a good game to start whoever you got, because the Jets are still going to produce yards. They're still going to score, but I don't think that they can hang with a determined Bengals team this week.
Bengals across the board, except Nick's got the Jets, got the upset this week. Next game, you got Knicks, Eagles going into the Washington Commanders. Philly's a 6.5-point favorite here, which obviously anybody can see after that butt whooping they just put on Minnesota. But let's not forget, Washington's been playing above what anybody's expected from them. They are putting up points and competing in every game. I mean, they lost to Detroit, but it was a kind of a shootout there with Detroit a little bit. I mean, Detroit's defense is a little suspect, but Detroit also put up some big numbers against Philly. They put up 35 on Philly. So there's a good chance here that Washington makes it competitive, but I still think the Eagles will take this one.
Yeah, it's hard for me to go and do and say and be on the side of anything Commanders right now. They don't seem to be in command. Curtis Samuel's their number one receiver, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, 15 receptions on the year. Scary Terry, where is he? I don't know. I can't even see him. He's not on the screen. And then you look, the running game.
He's around the corner.
86 yards and 1 touchdown on 28 carries. I mean, Philly can control the game. Well, Miles Sanders in that run game, if they need 230 carries, 176 yards and a touchdown. I think me and Nick, we're both taking the Philadelphia Eagles on this one because Commanders are sus. They're gonna continue on to be sus. Carson Wentz, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, not bad, not great either. I'm going
Oh,
Eagles here. Me and Nick are taking the Eagles.
yeah, I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles are going to win this one. You wouldn't have guessed it, but Carson Wentz has 6 more touchdown passes than Jalen Hurts. Just saying. Just saying. He's got 6 more. I think this is a trap game for the
Almost 100 more
Eagles.
yards.
I think this is a trap game for the Eagles, but the Eagles do win it. I think this is going to be uncomfortably close for them. I like it like 27-24. Washington is getting a lot out of those receivers, and you're right. McLaurin's not leading the team in receiving yards, but he's healthy and he's there. Samuel, Dotson, and McLaurin, they've been very nice. Wentz has been decent. This is the Wentz revenge game. I don't think they play the Eagles when he was a Colt last year. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that, but I don't think he did. So this is his first time playing his former team. Ron Rivera slowly has this Commanders team looking like his Panthers team to me. When they had Curtis Samuel and they had DJ Moore and they had, a wide receiver bodied running back in McCaffrey, and Gibson's not on his level, but he's the same type of back. So I see Ron Rivera's imprint on the Commanders. That defense is not stopping the rush, though, and that's the Eagles' bread and butter right now until somebody figures that out and makes Hurts be a full range quarterback. The Eagles are going to continue to win games. I think they win this game. I think it's the same blueprint. But I don't think this is going to be a wow Eagles slam dunk. As you guys mentioned, divisional game and stuff like that. I think it's going to be closer. I think the Commanders are playing good enough. I think they'll try to rise to the occasion. And I know Carson's going to put it all out there. Not a fan of Carson. We've talked about it plenty, but he's playing good ball right now. He's turning short crossing routes, and he's getting the most out of what he's got. And I think it's going to be a game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a tough game, but I do think Philly still edges it out. It'll be fun to watch. I mean, they are division opponents. They know each other's playbook pretty well, but we'll see.
It'll definitely going to be a good watch. And you're right, Miles Sanders has been killing it. He really has. And Jalen Hurts has been doing everything that they've asked him to do, and he's executed it flawlessly. The defense looked much better last week, but again, like we talked about, Minnesota was definitely discombobulated. Now, whether that was a credit to the defense or the game plan for Minnesota just was not functioning, or it was a little bit of both, I don't know. But I still want to see improvements from that secondary. Bradbury looked a little lost in coverage sometimes. Slay obviously had a great game last week. No getting by that.
All right, keeping it going.